All right. And so I'm going to go ahead and get started. So, everybody, thanks so much for hopping on. And so, my name is Lori Delk-Radecki, and I am direct to Steve. So, I know Carrie said that a few times. We are actually cross-lined to each other. But one of the cool things that I love about our team is that everybody helps out, everybody works together, and and we all learn from each other. We all train from each other and train each other's teams and just help everybody all the way around you know, because when everybody does better, then the whole team is going to do better, right? When you get together and you don't worry about, oh, they're on this team and they're on this team and, we can't mix or whatever. In one of my previous companies, one of my closest, bestest friends was cross-lined to me in that company. And like, she lives in Canada. I flew up there just for her birthday to spend the weekend with her. So that tells you how close we are. So, it can happen. So, especially when you just want to work together and you just focus on that. So today I'm going to talk to you about follow-up. So I've been in the network marketing industry for about 35 years. I started when I was 18, didn't know the words network marketing or direct sales or anything like that. It's way back when with Tupperware. And, and I was told, hey, if you tell a few friends, you can make some money and you could get free Tupperware. So why not? Right. So my whole kitchen was Tupperized. But and I grew very quickly in that and had the van and all that stuff. And so then I've been in several other companies too. And I've had teams in the thousands. I've spoke on stages all over the world. And the biggest stage so far was about 10,000 people. So I was excited about that. But so one of the biggest things that I attribute to my success is the fact of just following up. And so one of the biggest things that I tell people is that, think about yourself, right? Think about, a lot of times people, they just don't have time. They're busy, right? And so think about like yourself. How many of you have bookmarked a website because you really want to go back to it later? Or you saved an email because you don't have time right now to read it, but it looks interesting. You want to come back to it later and read it. And so, but then guess what? Life happens, you get busy and you don't go back to it, right? And so that's what I always say. That's what happens, in network marketing too, is sometimes people will tell you, yeah, I'm interested, I'll look at it later, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And they're just doing lip service. But a lot of times they might be genuinely interested, but they just get busy. And, and it just, you have to take the time to go back and follow up. It doesn't mean that you have to follow up is not being pushy. And so that's one big mistake that I think a lot of people say because they assume that, oh, I don't want to reach out to them again because I don't want to feel like that pushy used car salesman, right? You don't have to be that in order to be able to keep in touch with people and simply just follow up. You're just going to follow up with them. So my number one is be prompt and consistent. So follow up with your people within 24 hours of their initial inquiry or meeting with you. Don't let the time lapse, or they might forget about you. And if y'all could stay on mute for me, that would be great. And so don't let people forget about you. Be consistent with your follow-ups. That is the biggest thing. Consistency. If you be consistent with people, with your follow-ups, don't.
Lori, you're muted.
Thank you. There we go. Okay, so always reach out to people and be consistent with them. That is the biggest number one thing. Don't just reach out one time and then disappear, or reach out 2 or 3 times and then disappear. And like I said, that is the biggest thing, because people are just busy. I had somebody that I reached out to literally probably 11 times before they signed up. In my last company, I had somebody that I followed up with consistently, and it took 7 years for her to sign up with me, but she finally signed up. So it just, people are going to do it when they're ready, right? And so a lot of times it might not take that long, but the thing is, you just want to follow up. You just want to keep in touch. And like in this business, one of the biggest things that I say is read testimonials every day. Read 2 to 3 testimonials every day. It helps you to get it in your head of what they're good for and what it helps other people for, and how you can talk to your clients and prospects and people that you interact with to help them, right? And then when you find one that sounds good, or one that has the situation of this one prospect, send them that testimonial and say, hey, I saw this today. I thought of you. I just wanted to reach out and send it to you. And, if you have any other questions about the business or about the products, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. So it's just simple following up. And then another thing, number 2 is personalize your messages. And so avoid using like the generic templates or the mass emails. One thing that I've seen in other places is people will say, I'll reach out to everybody on your list, and use these generic templates or these scripts. And excuse me, personally, I don't like those. I want somebody, if they're going to reach out to me, I want it to sound like they're reaching out to me, right? Because people like the relationship aspect. They don't like that it's, that they think that it's the exact same message that you've sent to 100 different people, right? They like to feel special. They like, they're going to respond to you when they feel like it's you talking to them, not a robot or not just something automatic. So take the time to personalize your messages to each and every person. Mention something specific about, their interests or their needs. If they've posted something about issues that you're telling them that the patches will help, or excuse me, or if they've mentioned it to you, then bring that in the conversation. Or anything else. Look at their, like if it's on Facebook, look at their profile, look at the last few posts, and put something that you've read in there in the messages. It just helps to personalize it and helps to make them feel like you're seeing them, you're hearing them. And it will show that you're genuinely interested in them and not just simply trying to make the sale. And then 3 is provide value. So don't just bombard your prospects with sales pitches. The same thing. We all have like different things, that you want to share with people. Like, like Steve has talked about the new video that got released in Orlando, right? So he shares that with everybody. And then there's a couple of the different testimonial calls and the information calls that he bookmarks and puts the number 1 on it, on the YouTube account. So that way, those are the ones that he recommends that you share with people. And so, there's those things, but you still want to build around that with a personalized message. And then offer them something of, free information or resources, or, the samples. We have the little sample kits. You don't have to mail them out for free. You can charge for them, but it gives them a way to get in if they're not sure about what they want, or they're not sure about where they're ready yet. Some people are going to join you, just like Carrie's talked about, she joined just because Steve said. I did the same thing. I mean, I was desperate. I was in a lot of back pain, and I was desperate to get help. But still, because I've known Steve almost 20 years, I trusted him. And so when he told me order the Liberty and the Freedom, I did. And I ordered the 28 pack. And, not at the time, I wasn't planning on building a business. I told him not to even talk to me about that. And so, I wasn't planning on doing anything. I've been there, done that. I was basically semi-retired and living my life and the way that they teach in network marketing, to work like no one else will before, so you can play like no one else can play later. And that's where I was at with everything. And I was enjoying my life. And so I wasn't looking to build something, but then because I had such great results, then I was like, oh, wow, I have to share this with other people. And so, also sharing your products or samples with people, even if you're doing the balance test on people, it's going to allow you to build that trust and rapport with them, right? You have to have they have to have a little bit of trust with you, in order to allow them to, touch them and do the balance test with them. And so, sorry, there's so many things jumping around on the screens. I get sidetracked. So number 4, ask questions to people. Don't just talk to your prospects. So ask them questions about their goals. Like Steve talks about the form method, right? Family, occupation, relationships, money. You talk to people about their life. You build that repertoire with them. You talk to them and find out what they're looking for, and just coffee shop talk, right? Like if you're meeting them in a coffee shop, even online, you talk to them like that, and you find out what their goals are, what their challenges are they have in life, what their needs are in their health aspects, and then figure out how these products or the business can help them, right? So if they're having a financial challenge, well, they can make money with this. If they're having health challenges, there's probably things that you can recommend that are going to help them with that. But this is going to help you understand them better and tailor your follow-ups to their specific interests. Yes, Dana.
Yes. Can you tell me what that form was again? Family, occupation,
relationships,
okay,
and money.
Money. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Okay, and so then 5 is listen actively. And I know y'all are typing some things in the chats too, and I'll look at those once I get through this, and then we'll go back and I'll open it up for questions and everything at the end. So I just don't want you to think that I'm ignoring you, but I can't like watch 15 different things, or I'll get distracted and lose my place and my train of thoughts. But so listen actively with people. Pay attention to what people are saying. And so both verbally and non-verbally. And so that's one of the things that I love about Zoom, because you can see people's eyes, right? You can, like they say, the eyes are the windows to the soul, right? So when you're talking to people, and that's one thing that, Carrie talks about on these calls, and Steve's talked about that, I know, and I talk about it on my calls. When you're on here, try to have your camera on. And we all know that there's times that you can't have the camera on, right? And so I've had a lot of those this week, since we've been trying to get internet in our new home since November 10th. And we've had people come out 5 different times, and it's been a process. And we still don't have it. I'm at my son's house right now, as you can probably tell with the baby running around. So, but as you talk to people, especially on Zoom, you can see their eyes, you can see their interactions. Even if they are doing something else, you can see them nod their head, you can see them smile, you can see them, you know, their body language. If they're, especially in person, also look at people's body language, and because they might be saying yes to you, but they're shaking their head no, or they're doing some, they're sitting with their arms crossed or sitting with their legs crossed. If you study the body image, you'll find out a lot of times you can see and read people by what their body movements are doing. And so think of that verbally as well as non-verbally. And that's going to help you identify, their pain points. It's going to help you address their concerns. It's going to help you to be a better listener. And also when you're paying attention. So the same thing, if they're talking and you're looking around the room, kind of, whatever. Well, especially if you're on Zoom, they can see that, right? And so that's the thing too, is another reason that I like Zoom is because they see you. Not only do you see them so you can pay attention to their body language, but also they see you. They see that you are genuinely listening and paying attention when they're talking. And that makes them feel good. Just like the speakers on the calls, a lot of times, especially if it's somebody newer speaking, but even if it's a longtime speaker, everybody likes to know that they're being listened to, right? So if they're talking and they're paying attention, then they kind of, if they see people sitting on the Zoom kind of going, right, then that's going to be like, they're going to be like, what am I saying wrong? Why am I not getting their attention? Why are they, being disinterested, right? So it goes both ways. And then, so number 6 I have is be patient. It takes time to build relationships and trust with people and with prospects. Don't get discouraged if they don't say yes right away. Not everybody, not everybody has the money to just jump on and grab it right away. And then 2, even if they have the money, a lot of times they're tight with their money, right? And so you never know the reason, and you never know why they're not jumping on something right away. So sometimes there's things and there's people with, exactly that, like we said with Steve, Carrie and I both, we just trusted him and we signed up, as far as Carrie with the business and as far as me with the product, right? And then later I added the business, but not everybody's like that, right? And so, and if you don't have that kind of relationship with someone, then it's probably going to take a little bit. And you need to find out their needs and their wants and where they're at. And because like I said, even if they have the money, a lot of times maybe they don't just blow it all the time for whatever, right? And so they're not just going to drop the money, especially if it's, the $600 kit, right? Or whatever. They need to see that value, right? And so when you're providing the value and showing them the value of the product as well as the opportunity, then that gives them, you give them more information. And as you keep following up, you just give them a little bit more information each time. That shows them the more value. And then that's going to get them to want to sign up, whether it's a customer or a distributor. So don't always think that it has to be a distributor either, right? Like, I mean, the company works on customers too. So, and we need those, right? So there's some people, like I have a person that one time in one of my companies, she was like totally sold on the product, but she was like, I don't want to make any more money. I make enough money that if I make even a couple more dollars, then I'm going to go in the next tax bracket and I'm going to get taxed higher from the government. So I don't want to make any more money. I'll give, and she did, she gave me all kinds of referrals. I was like, girl, if you realized how many referrals you were passing up, that it would work out, right? Because yeah, you make more money, so the government takes more, but then you're still making more, right? So you're not paying it all to the government, but you just got to work with people wherever they're at and whatever they want. And eventually they will come around, as long as you don't burn those bridges. And that's another thing too, is don't, just because they say no, it doesn't mean no forever, unless they flat out tell you, hey, don't ever talk to me again. And if somebody tells you that, that's probably, you're just doing the wrong things. You're not talking to them properly. And you might need to look and do some training on your thought process on how you approach people. But they'll eventually come around. And so, talk to people, find out, their information, follow up with them. And like I said, most of the time it's no, but it's not right now. So make sure you don't burn those bridges. Make sure you treat people the way you would want to be treated, as well as the way they would want to be treated. Right. And so, you wouldn't want, if somebody's trying to sell you something, you're not going to be, unless they're rude to you and being overly pushy, you're not going to be rude back to them. Right. And so, now you could tell people, hey, no, I'm not interested. And I probably won't ever be, you could still be nice about it like that, but still, you just never know. I would have never been interested in this company if I didn't have the major back and sciatic issue. So I have found out through over the last a little bit over a year now that I've been with the company, that everybody's different in their sciatic issues. And my mom used to say that I do everything over the top, and I did that over the top too. I was in bed for literally over a month, crying every day. And I really, honestly, I did not know that you could still be alive in that much pain. And I've had 4 of the 5 of my babies 100% natural. So I'm not a wimp in that area of pain, but I was floored. And the scariest thing to me was I didn't know when or if it was ever going to go away. And so I was worried, but I'm also, I don't like to take any prescriptions or drugs of any kind. And so I was looking for the natural things. I did try to take some pain pills because I was in so much pain and they didn't even touch it. And so I was looking for something, and literally I reached out to Steve. And so, but the same thing, I normally don't put all my drama on Facebook, but this time I finally, after almost a month, I put it out there, and I just said, I don't know if any of y'all have had this. If you had it and you fixed it, please let me know what you did. And if you know something that will work, please let me know. Well, of course, that led to everybody and their brother sending me what they were selling, right? But I literally bought like $2,000 worth of products that day. I was that desperate. And of course, 90% of them didn't work at all. And when Steve told me to order the patches, and I did, and I got them, and it took my pain from, they say 1 to 10. I was like, it's a 50, but it took it to a 2 instantly. I was like, oh my goodness, I know so many people that need this, right? And so, like I said, I was not planning on building a business. I didn't even look at that part of it because I didn't care, because I wasn't interested, and Steve knows me. And so he wasn't pushing it. But when I saw the results, I was like, oh, I have to, and so that's it. You never know where somebody's going to be at. So you just look at fulfilling what they need, what their needs are. Steve told me what to do and helped me to fulfill my needs at the time. When my need changed to, I was going to sign up and become a distributor and build, then he helped me with that part, right? And so just help people where they're at. And so, it's just like thinking about, your child. I have my 2-year-old grandson here. You're helping them learn to walk. You're holding their hand. You're helping them go through life. That's how you are with your team, or even with your prospects, people that you're talking to. You hold their hand and you guide them and you help them to what they need and what's best for them. Right. So it's not always what's best for you. What's best for you. Oh yeah, for them to buy the $9.99 kit, so I get the extra $100 bonus. Right. A lot of times, that's a bonus for you, but you want to help them with what they need and what's best for them. Yes, Dana.
Thank you. Your points are amazing, but I was just wondering, if you're going to touch on it, just tell me, wait, but where do you put the, like your notes? Because you're keeping track of what they're doing and they're saying, but that's a lot of paper. I know that, and my gets tiny, and then I run out of room and then I have to retie it, So what do you do to keep track of everything?
Yep, that's actually part of my next point. But yes, so number 7 is use a variety of communication channels, right? So don't just rely on email, don't just rely on text. Use a variety of channels: phone, text, social media, video chats, the Zooms. It's going to help you stay top of mind with your people. And then also the different channels you're on, so Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, wherever you're at. And if you're not, you don't have to be on everything. So don't get me wrong on that. It's good to be on a lot of things if you can. I'm on a lot of things, but I have my certain playgrounds, right? Because that's where I get the most response from, and the most algorithms get boosted there. I get the most interactions with people, but still you can add extra things, but you don't want to get overwhelmed with that. You want to be really good in 1 or 2, and as you do better, then you can add 3 or 4 or whatever. And then you want to keep track of where you talk to people from, because the same thing, as you talk to more people, you're gonna not remember, okay, where did I talk to them? What was it on TikTok? Oh no, I looked through all my messages there. Was it on Facebook? No, I've looked through all my messages there. And especially as you get to know more people and you talk with more people, then like for mine on my Facebook messages, I only open my Facebook messages twice a day. And that's just a whole nother training that I can train on, but it's time management, right? And productivity management. And so I only open them twice a day for 15 minutes each time. That's my window. So the next time I log into my Facebook Messenger, I have this many messages, right? And so if your message is way down here, I'm not going to find it. I'm not going to remember it. So what I do is I just have a simple Excel spreadsheet. If you're on a Mac, then it's a number spreadsheet. So, but either one, and I just put their name. So the columns I have is their name, and then I put their email or their text, their cell number, whatever I have, contact information, and then I put platform. So then under the platform, that's where I put whether it's I've been connecting with them through email, I've been connecting with them through text, whether it's through Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, whatever. So platform, that's where I keep that. And then the other columns are for contacts. So I make sure to contact them at least once a week. And so I'll put the date. And then with the date, I'll also sometimes put what I talked to them about. So, I might put shared testimonial, of Carrie, right? And so then that goes through there, or shared testimonial of Rebecca. I saw her testimonial and I shared that with her. And then I might put, I also have a column of needs. And so in that needs column is what they've told me with me reaching out to them of what their needs are, what they're looking for help with, whether it's they've shared with me a health issue or whether they've shared with me a financial issue, whatever they've shared with me, I put that need in there. So that way it reminds me, because the same thing, once your list gets to be, even more than 10, and if you're talking to people every day, at least one, talking to one person a day, even, your list is going to get long. Especially like me, I've been in the business a little bit over a year. My list is long and you're not going to remember all that stuff. So don't leave it to your memory. Keep track of it. And that way you also can keep track of how long it's been since you talked to the last person. So the same thing in my time of follow-up, I look at my list and I go down the list and I see who I haven't talked to in at least a week. Now, it doesn't mean that I have to actually talk to them, but I do some sort of follow-up with them. And that could be just, okay, so I saw Michelle and I haven't talked to her. It's been 12 days. So I review the things I talked to her about before and her needs. And I just go find, if I can't think of anything, I go find a testimonial and I send her that. Especially when we come out with new things, like we came out with the that video from Brinks, for Orlando. I sent that to every one of my follow-ups. And I said, hey, the company just announced this little commercial. It's 6 minutes. I think you should really look at it. It was really interesting, and then I might add something else with it. So especially all my people that are in the sports industry, I made a comment with that and a reference with that, that, and my husband's very much into sports, so I always make reference of those things. So, but don't just send the link. Yes, Dana.
I'm sorry, I have a lot of questions. Do you contact them on the platform that you normally would, or do you email people? Because you said email, well, not everybody checks their emails, like I don't. So do you always use the same platform, or do you ask them what they prefer you using?
Yeah, I always use the same platform that they reached out to me on or first contacted me on, because 9 times out of 10, that's the one that they prefer. Now, every once in a while, I will ask them, what, if I don't already have it, do you care if I reach out on your cell phone? What's your cell phone number? Do you, if they ask, especially if they ask me for something. So like the other night, a guy asked me for some information. I said, I have all of his information. And I said, which way would you like me to send it to you? Through email, text, or on Facebook Messenger? Because that's where he reached out first. Right. So, so if they ask for something, then I'll usually ask them how they want me to send it back to them. Right. And then I'll reach out that way. But otherwise, I reach out the exact way that they reached out to me, because then I keep track of that, like I said, in that list. And especially if it is on the social media platforms, each time that you say something to them in the private messenger and they say something back to you, that tells the social media algorithms that person wants to hear from you, and they're going to see your post that you do on your public page a lot more. So that's where it's really huge excuse me, to interact with people on the social media platforms, and where they message you back, right? Where you send something to them and they send something to you. So that's like, for example, on people's birthdays that I'm connected with on social media, I never post to their page. Or sometimes if I do, I used to, I would post to their page and I would send them a message. But now I don't even post to their page at all. For one half the time you get lost track of that. Like on my birthday, I was like almost 10,000 followers just on Facebook alone. And it's like trying to keep up with those to say thank you to each person. It was a job in itself. So, but in Messenger, then they reach out to you, you reach out to them. If they reply back, that tells Facebook that they want to hear from you. And so then when you post things on your feed, they're going to see it more. So everybody does those things on, posting, oh, I want to reset my algorithm feeds and I want to see who connects with me. Please say hello below and tell me where you're from or something like that. And that's still a good thing to do, but that's still just on your page. So that only allows them to see that one post, and it doesn't fully increase all the algorithms. So that's another side thing in social media training. But if you message them and they message back to you, then that gets them to see more of your actual posts of all of them, not just one or whatever, right? It doesn't increase it just a little bit, it increases it a lot. And so the same thing, I always send happy birthday emails or notes through Messenger, through LinkedIn on the Messenger, through Instagram on the Messenger, right? Because the more that they reply back, the more that they're going to show in their feed, right? And so you want to also do things to not only just, like, for example, just say happy birthday, say happy birthday and what have you been up to? What did you get to do today? Who loved on you this week? Right? Ask them questions that's going to be open-ended for them to answer back. So then you can reply back again, and then they can reply back again and actually do that. Right? And so, it does take time. And you don't have to reply back right away. Like I said, I log into my Facebook Messenger for 15 minutes twice a day. That's all I do for that. So you don't have to spend a lot of time. I don't have any notifications on my phone. That's a whole nother training too. But I don't get distracted on all the notifications on my phone popping up constantly over and over. Right. And so you don't have to reply to people immediately. You can reply back in a few hours. Now, you want to reply back at least in 24 to 48 hours at the most, but you don't have to reply back right away. I think a lot of times in this day and age, with all the notifications and everything, people feel like they have to reply back so fast, and you don't have to, because I just saw that from Lori. You get overwhelmed. I do. I get very overwhelmed, and even with the focus and the flow patch and every one of the patches on, I'm still going to get overwhelmed. Right. And so you have to learn to turn the notifications off. I have, like I said, all the notifications off. I don't have social media pop on my phone. I don't even have text pop up on my phone. Like, I look at my texts when I'm scheduled to look at my texts. And the same thing, because you can get through life. You can do things, and then you can be more present with your family, with your friends during that time if you're not looking at your phone and you're not being distracted by it. Okay, so get back on track here. So number 8, follow up after presentations or events. So if you are having local presentations, if you attend an event, like a networking event where you meet other people, make sure to follow up with the people that you met. It's a great way to solidify your connections with them. Another thing, like if you're going to BNI or other networking groups, you give your 30 to 60 second spiel. Well, everybody that went to that group is looking to sign somebody up in their service or product or business, right? Just like you, everybody is. So more than likely, nobody is going to sign up with you right at that event from your 30 to 60 second spiel, right? Because they're all looking to build their business, and they're all looking to pass out a card and make some money. And that just, sometimes it might happen, but most of the time it doesn't. You have to follow up with them. You have to, another one of the networking trainings that I do is you have to, it's networking, not net showing, not net showing up, right? It's networking. So after you meet them, you need to schedule a one-on-one with them. You need to talk to them a little bit, either before the event. You should be there at least 15 minutes to 30 minutes before. You should stay 15 minutes to 30 minutes after the event. You should follow up with them. You should set a one-on-one appointment to talk to them and keep in touch with them. And the same thing, have that conversation with them to find out their needs and their wants, and have the coffee shop talk with them. Not that you're doing your presentation to them and, you know, and then just immediately expecting to sign them up, because the same thing, that's what they want to do too, right? And so you want to, my screen just changed for some reason. So you want to talk to them and find out exactly what they're doing and what they want to learn from that, and what they're wanting to, what they have, like I said, their needs in their life and their wants in their life, and then find out how you can help fix those, or how you can help with those between your product and or your service or your business opportunity. And my screen just went away and I don't know where my notes went. I'm on my son's computer because I left mine at home and I don't know where my notes went. So, but anyway, I am going to, yeah, my son's computer doesn't work the way mine does. I'm going to glance at the chat, and you guys, if you want to raise your hand, if you have, a couple people have asked questions already, but I'm just going to glance at the chat and see a couple things that people have mentioned, and see if I can help with anything else. We have about 20 minutes left. What tool do you use to track prospects to follow up? So I had talked about that. I just basically use, you know, I have a Mac and I use numbers, but it's just like Excel on a PC, and it's just to keep track. And I have my headers, and then I just take my notes in there, and that way I can use any platform. Janie, yes.
Okay. The question I have is, where I live, I live in East Texas, way East Texas, and I'm on with Paula, which is way in El Paso, the other side. I am wanting to do some of the presentation events, but I want to see how it's set up. But I don't know of anybody around here that does a super patch, and everybody I've talked to has never heard of it. So I've been, doing it that way. But I would love to see how one is set up. If somebody is in the East Texas, Houston, Louisiana line area.
Okay. Yeah.
So I would like to be shown before, Yeah,
absolutely. So a couple things with that. So one, you can ask in the group and ask people to show a picture or a video if they're doing local presentations, of what they're doing. One thing for me, what I do, so we do once a month, I do a Tuesday night where we meet from 7 to 9, and that way it's 30 minutes before Steve's call and 30 minutes after. 30 minutes before to talk to people, meet people, 30 minutes after to sign people up. And then I just have my laptop connected to the TV and I play that and I let Steve and Carrie do it. So that's one way. Then I also, once a month, I do a Wednesday afternoon luncheon, and that's at a restaurant. And we get their back room, and I give out a couple free appetizers, and then people buy their own lunch. And I literally do the exact same presentation that Steve does, but then I talk it. But there's nothing that has to really be set up. Now, if you want to do like booths or events like that,
That's what I'm kind of was referring to, but
okay.
I'd rather be shown, and it's harder on Zoom because, like I said, I'm on Paula's team, which is on the other side of Texas with Dana, and
Yeah.
I'm way over here, and I'm a more visual person for it to get in here,
Right. Yeah. No, I get it. But the thing is, you can just start them, and you can simply do a simple tablecloth from the dollar store and a table, and then put the patches on it and just set it out neat. And you might have a little, like, you can get your boxes from Amazon and wrap them in like a plain color wrapping paper, but make it look nice, and then use that to stand up the patches, right? You can also ask in the group for, like I said, other people's pictures of their booths or displays and get ideas from them, but it doesn't have to cost a lot of money. You don't have to do a lot of things to it, but just start doing them. Once you start doing them, you're going to see different things that you want to implement. It's kind of like you need to do it to realize what's going to be good for you, because what Paula does, you might not want to do, or you might not be able to afford to do. She might have, like I have a custom tablecloth, I have a custom banner, I have 5x7 postcards that I hand out, I have business cards. You might be able to do that, but you might not be able to do that, so it's whatever works for you. I've went to other people other people on my team that they've done booths, and they don't have that. They don't have a ton of inventory. So they just get a little bit of inventory, and they have their laptop there to sign people up, and so you just do with what you can do. And that's where it's kind of hard for anybody to say exactly what you should do, because we can say and give examples of what we are doing, but it depends on where you're at, right? And so one would need to talk to you more on exactly what you want to do, what you can afford to do. And the same thing, you don't have to go into, even if you can afford to do it, you don't have to go into a lot of debt, right, in order to just do an event. Because doing an event, you're still going to pay $50 to $100 or whatever for the event, more than likely. And so, I always say you don't want to do an event that you can't afford to just throw the money in the trash, right? So there was an event here in Nashville. They wanted $1,100 to have a booth at the event. I could do it if I wanted to, but I'm not willing to put $1,100 in the trash, right? So I've never been to that event before, so I'm not going to spend that much money not knowing how that person's event goes. So I might go to their event this year, and maybe next year I might sign up for it. But there's plenty of other ones that are $50 to $100, right, that you could go to and then see how it works for you. And you get especially if you're first starting out, you get your feet wet and you see how it goes for you, and you start learning, okay, no, next time I would like to have this here. Next time I would like to have the little fish bowl with some sign up pieces of paper and do a raffle to collect people's information, right? So I think that's one huge thing at events. But as you do them, you're going to start seeing what you would like and what you would prefer, and then you can cater it to that. Okay. Yeah, Elizabeth, showing on camera. Sometimes you can, sometimes you can't. So that's the same thing with me. I mean, like I said, this last week, we haven't had internet at the house. And so I used all my, they say you have unlimited data, but it's unlimited to a certain point. And I was using my personal hotspot to connect with my laptop. And I used all my regular, whatever, the high fast data. And then, so it's still unlimited, but it's the slower. It's like being in the mountains back on dial-up, and so I've been on my phone a lot, and then I don't want to hold my phone like this the whole time to look, so I just leave my camera off. So everybody has different things, and then sometimes I've got stuff going on with me helping with the grandbaby, so I might leave my camera off rather than you guys seeing the phone flip all different kinds of ways, right? So yes, sometimes a no can turn into a yes. So same thing, just don't burn your bridges. Just because somebody says no doesn't mean it's no forever, you know, unless they're really kind of forward about it or rude about it and say, don't ever talk to me about it again, you know, or remove me from your list, then respect that, right? But the same thing, if you respect that, then if they do have that need later, then they might come back to you. And so, yes, Messenger has so much to do with your algorithms. So definitely talk to people on the Messenger on all the platforms, because that is going to get them to see your, you know, when you look at your feed, you only see a certain amount of people's posts or information on your feed. And the more that you interact with people, then you're going to see their feeds also, as well as they'll see yours. And yes, Teresa, make a friend first, build the relationships. That's it. People do business with those that they know, like, trust, and remember. If they don't remember you, and that's the thing, like we talk about for the follow-up, if they don't remember you, they're not going to do business with you. So if you only reach out once every couple months because you don't have a system to follow back up with people, and you know, you kind of forgot, and then all of a sudden you reach out again, then it's going to be one of those that, you know, oh, wow, I see that, you know, Joe Schmo is in the group now. Oh, he signed up with Carrie. Oh, I talked to him 8 months ago, but I didn't talk to him after that. So then when Carrie met him at an event, he signed up with her, right? And that can happen. That will happen if you don't follow up with people. Yes, Dana.
Yeah, you said Messenger on all the platforms. So I understand that Facebook goes to IM Messenger. So you're saying like TikTok has, you're talking like the just the message part where you can just go message. It's not really, is it called Messenger though also, or is, because I want to get my,
called inbox on TikTok.
Okay, so there, but it's basically the same thing.
Right. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. I mean, years ago, Facebook, the Messenger was a part of Facebook. And I mean, it still is, but you can actually just have Messenger, or you cannot have Messenger also, and have Facebook. So Facebook kind of separated them, even though it is still both on one thing, but you can also be on them separately. Like you can log into your Messenger, but not have your Facebook open. Where like LinkedIn and TikTok, you have to be on that platform, and Instagram, you have to be on that platform in order to see your messages on there. But it's still technically, it's the same thing. Yeah. Teresa said, Dana, did you do the video Paula's meeting on Sunday? If so, could you share it with the person in East Texas that was asking questions? Okay. Keep your setup simple. Teresa Perry posted a good video. So yeah, look in the group. Also post in the group, ask people to, or search in the group, because I think also other people have done it. So when you log into Facebook and you go to Miracle Workers, if you're on a laptop, it's the top right. There's a little search button, it looks like a little eyeglass thing. Click that and then type in like booth or event, probably booth more likely, but try different things, and different things will come up where other people have talked about whatever your question is, and you can find the answers to those a lot of times rather than making a new post also. Let's see. Yeah, I didn't have anything but patches and socks my first time. Same thing. You don't have to have a whole lot of stuff, right? So you can add things later as you get more things. You don't have to have a lot of stuff. You want to have a phone, laptop. I mean, most other people have their phones too, right? So you can, one big thing like at events. So I'll say this too, at events, you want to have a way to capture other people's information. So you can have the fishbowl thing where people fill out a form and they put their name in for a drawing. But you can also, one thing that I do, another side trading for another topic, but we only have 5 minutes left, but go into your phone, add yourself as a contact in your phone. Put all the information in that you would want to share with someone. So your name, your cell phone number, your, address, if you want to give that out, your birthday, if you want to give that out, your email, your website, all that information. And then when you meet someone, so I don't use business cards any longer. I haven't for years. And so I do have some like at networking events that require them. But other than that, I don't normally give out my business cards. And so I will say, hey, Dana, what's your phone number? I go in my phone and I look up contacts. I look up my own name and then I hit share contact. And so then Dana gives me her number and I put her number in and share my contact to her. Right. So then that gives my information to her. And then voila, I've got her cell phone too. And so then I put her name in there either right then or after I leave her, whatever. But that way, then I've got her contact. I can follow up with her also. And she's already got all my information. And people are curious, right, by nature. So a lot of times they're going to be like, oh, wow, how'd she do that? And they're going to click on it and they're going to look at it. And then they're going to go, oh, wow. Oh, what's that email? Oh, what's that website? Let me check that out. That looks interesting, right? I mean, that's it. People are curious by nature. So, but that's a good way for you to get their cell phone number without saying, hey, what's your cell phone number? They ask you for your information. You just say, yeah, I don't have any business cards with me, but here, what's your phone number? And I'll share my contact with you. Okay. Use the dot business card. Yeah. And you can use different ones. I've got different ones that I've signed up for. I've got the link tree. I forget what one I just recently got, but I tend to not use them just because it's so many different things. And I just share my contact from my phone because that's just the easiest to me. That's the easiest thing. Who doesn't have their phone with them or doesn't have the time to collect mine if you don't have a business card. So the same thing, Tracy, that's exactly what I would do. They might not have their phone with them, but they know their phone number. So then I just say, hey, what's your phone number? And I put it in and it shares it to them. And then I've got their number to follow up with. And then whenever they get to their phone, then they can see my information. Why am I getting people from Instagram and TikTok in my messenger as if I'm following? So not from TikTok because that's a totally different platform, but Instagram and Facebook are owned by the same company. So that's why you can get Instagram messages on your Facebook Messenger and vice versa, because they're the same platforms basically. Especially if you have them connected. Yeah, Hello app, that's another one too. And like I said, I just literally just signed up for one last week and put all my information in there. But the same thing, I just forget about them. But the easiest for me is just right on your phone because you already have it with you. You already know where it's at and you just share your contact with them. And then you put in the information that you want people to see. Blink is another one too. Yeah. So I hadn't even heard of that one. But the same thing, a lot of those, then the other person has to download that, and some of them they don't have to, some of them they do have to, yeah, Lori, it gets confusing because, everybody doesn't want to sign up for 50 different things. The same thing. That's just like with the social media platforms, right? So, it used to be MySpace. Then like it took me forever to sign up for Facebook because I was like, oh, that, it might be going away quickly. Now, of course, when a new one comes out, a lot of times I'll sign up for it, but then I won't do anything on it till I see if it's actually like I listened to a podcast on the way here this morning. So that's the same thing, another training that I do. But when you're driving, listen to a podcast. Don't listen to the radio. Train yourself. Listen to something that's going to help you, right? So look up podcasts, put in some keyword that you want to train yourself on, do personal development or type in networking. You can listen to my podcast, but you can listen to, all different kinds. Steve's got them on there, I believe, but there's lots of other, even generic network marketing trainings. There's motivational, there's Motiversity is one that I personally like. And it's literally just kind of scream at you motivation, but it will keep you awake if you're driving here. Like I drive here at, 5:30 in the morning to help watch my grandbaby. So I need to get woke up in the morning, right? But so train yourself while you're driving. Yes, Dana.
Okay. So LinkedIn, I haven't used LinkedIn for years, and I always thought it was just for like when you work, like business, like your job, and that's how I used to use it. So are people using it kind of like a Facebook thing now? Or is it still business?
It's still mostly business. There are a few people that post, pictures of their kids or their dogs on there. It's really not for that. It is really more just for business. But you can still, like, I'm in the super patch business, right? So I post things for business on there. But like for me, I'll post other things I own a couple different companies and a couple different nonprofits. And so like I have a Gratitude Girls podcast, and that's one of my nonprofits that I have. And so, I'll post information about that, but you can also do look up the hashtags, just like on Facebook and just like on Instagram, of what you're looking for. And you can also post things on there. You can post things on there, like on this, talking about follow-up. If you took notes on this call, you could type them up on LinkedIn and, just reuse what I taught you, right? And put it on there and, put hashtag follow up and keep in touch and all that stuff. And so then it's helping you to make a post, but then it's also helping you to reteach. The more when you learn things, just like all the stuff that I just talked about, I've learned it from all different kinds of people over the last 35 years of me doing network marketing stuff, right? And from all different trainers, and then you just reteach it, right? And so you can give the credit to someone if it's pretty much exactly word for word what they did, then you could get the credit and say, hey, I was on a training this morning and I learned all this stuff, from Lori, whatever. And so you could do that, but you could just use it, right? Everybody that is out there is using stuff that they've learned from other people in the past, right? And so like one of my favorites, if you don't watch him, listen to him, he's passed away now, but Zig Ziglar, I used to drive to all of his events and listen to them, love them. I've got every single one of his books that he's ever wrote. If you want to enhance your life and your business and everything, read and follow anything from him that he did. And like I said, he's passed away now, but he's one of my favorites, gives God the glory and everything. And always said, my husband and I were talking about him last night, he always put God first, family second, then business. So third is business, right? Because you don't want to lose your family in order to build your business. Right. And so most of us, my kids are all grown now and it's my grandkids, but, I was building my businesses years ago to enhance my family. So if I lost my family in the process because I was too busy working my business, then what's that worth? Right. And so that's a lot what he teaches and talks about too. And so I just love it. And so that's just a total side note. Our time is up. It's after 10 o'clock already. Does anyone have one last minute question like they got to say real quick before we sign off? Yes, Dana.
What is your podcast called?
It's just Lori Delk. So, and I have kind of a slew of things on there. I have my personal stuff and training. I have my gratitude girls. I have a nonprofit for cops' wives. I have a nonprofit for wonderful widowed women. Just fast short story on me that people that don't know me. I was married for 20 years and had 5 kids with him. He was a cop. He passed away in a car wreck back in 2013. I just got remarried in 2020 in the middle of COVID in our pastor's backyard. And, but anyway, so that's the short, quick story behind that. And so, so yeah, so I have those things on there and I just kind of put them all under that same umbrella. All right, y'all, thanks so much for being with me this morning. And hopefully you learned something and go out and share it. And like I said, reteach it with other people. The more you learn it, you listen to stuff, you take notes, and then you reteach it. And that's the way that you're going to get it in your head the best. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.
Thank you. You do the same.